Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back with me, Mr. Asep. Okay, before we begin the lessons, I would like to say please stay healthy, stay safe. Although it is weekend, please do not go out or hang out. Just stay at home, okay? Alright, let's continue the lessons of these occasions. We are discussing teaching English to young learners or TEYL, especially or focusing on teaching reading to young learners. With me, Mr. Asep Budiman. I would like to summarize the presentations from both groups of TEYL, so I do not need to explain more about this one. I'd like to highlight some important points and also give some explanations a little bit. First of all, let's begin with the definition of reading. As your friend says that reading is a set of skills that involves making sense and deriving meaning from the printed word. Although there are also the other definitions on reading related to the ability of someone to read or to comprehend a text, then basically the meaning are the same of the definition. In this case, we are dealing that we have to be careful. We are teaching young learners. The reading that we teach to young learners will be different from the technique or the reading we teach for the adult learners. Here we have the definitions of reading. First of all, we have to be careful with the word reading itself. Can you see? Reading can be divided into two terms. The first one is decoding. The second one is comprehending. By that definition, let's talk it one by one, starting from decoding. Decoding means recognizing the symbols that form words. This is like the phase of reading. First of all, we have to decode. Decode means sounds out. Sounds out the letter or the words. We have to recognize the symbols that form words. This is what we call it as decoding. An easy example, or in other words, we can say that in English, sometimes the letters are not the same as the sound. When you find the letter C, for example, C, A, B, C, then it can be sounding with different sounds. For example, you can find C in the word cat, then the sounds will be K. If it is in the word cinema, it will be C or S. And in the word Chinese, it will be C itself. So this is different. In this case, we have to teach them how to decode the certain letters that forms the word. This is what we call it as decoding. We have to know the symbols. Because in English, sometimes the symbols or the sounds are not the same as the letters. It is sometimes different from Bahasa Indonesia. In decoding, we do not focus on the meaning or the message of the words or the letter. We only focus how to sound out or how to write down the words. And then we go on to comprehending. The next phase of definition of reading is comprehending. We know that being able to decode doesn't mean that we are able to read. It is said that we are able to read if we can comprehend the message. We can understand the message of the words. We can understand the message of the words or the combinations of the letters and also the phrase, the sentence. If we understand the message or the meaning from each combinations, we call it as we comprehend the text or we can read. Okay, so reading here is decoding and comprehending. Because we are in the part of teaching young learners, we have to first focus on decoding. Because at the same time, they are also learning their first or the second language. If we are Sundanese or Japanese, the young learners are still also learning Japanese. In this case, they are learning many languages, so we have to focus on decoding the English phonetic symbols, or sometimes we call it as alphabetic symbol, okay, phonetic alphabet. And the next one is the background to the teaching of reading. Here are the backgrounds to the teaching of reading. We have four backgrounds. The first two relates to the purposes of reading. Reading for pleasure and reading for information relate to the purposes of reading. So the aims of readings are reading for pleasure and reading for information. So what are the difference? If we talk about reading for pleasures, it means that if we are reading to make our feeling fun or to have fun, to entertain ourselves because of reading, we call it reading for pleasure. Because we have the like fun feeling, or we are focusing on the feeling on reading. It can be pleasures or something like that. You know that everyone loves stories, starting from children to adults. Then this example is when they are reading the stories and they are happy of the reading, then we call it reading for pleasures. And the next one is reading for information. This is the second purposes of reading, reading for informations. If we are reading and we want to get the information from what we read, we call it reading for informations. This is the purposes of reading. Maybe you will ask question, can we combine both of them of the purposes? Yes, it's very possible. So that's why we can see in a lot of textbook, they are provided with the pictures and also images to provide the students with the informations as well as the pleasures of reading. Then it can be very good for the students. So while they are reading for pleasures, they can also get information. It's very possible. Okay, but first of all, we have to emphasize on pleasure first to teach young learners because we want to encourage them to have motivations to read. Then we can also, what is it? Give the meanings that reading is pleasure. Okay, we can have fun from reading. After that, we move on to reading for informations. Because sometimes reading for pleasures are for young learners, reading for informations are commonly for adult learners, although we can combine them. And the next one is the problems of teaching reading. First of all is visions problems. As I told you, we are teaching young learners. We have to be careful with the visions problems. Vision problems like sometimes when we can see the students are reading with one eye like this, okay, like this. Now this is also actually the problems. Or sometimes we can also see the students when they are reading, they are moving their head like this. Background of the teaching reading. Nah, if make it face like this, now it will be a problem as well. So we have to be careful of that. Sometimes they are also what is it? Have problems with when they are reading with like closed books or long distance books, something like this. This is also the problems. And also the common problems when the students are reading, they find it or they got headache like this. This is sometimes happen in young learners. Okay, they get headache. Have you ever got headache when reading? Perhaps when you read, you get also headache. Ternyata waktu baca, kok juga sakit kepala juga. Padahal sudah dewasa. Apa masalahnya? Ternyata yang dibaca adalah puisi dari mantan. Wah, makanya pusing ya. Oke, okay, it's okay. This is visions problems. In order to deal with that, sometimes we have also pay attention to the students. Okay, we can teach them that in reading we do not need to move our heads, okay, and they also can consult to the doctors whether they have problems with eyes, they need glasses, something like that. That is also very possible for the solutions. And the next one is the configurations. Configuration deals with the adjustment of teaching. Sometimes the teachers are using capital letters instead of lowercase. Actually, the easy ones to digest is the lowercase because it is smaller and it is also easy to digest. Again, we have to be careful with teaching young learners. In teaching adult learners, sometimes we do not need to pay attention to every single letters, A, B, C, we do not need to consider that. But in teaching young learners, we have to be careful that every single letter gives meaning. So we have to give them like clear letter, the difference between A, B, C, it's very clear. Okay, then they can get without needing to itu sih tulisan apa Mister Miss tulisan apa. Nah, this is very problematic. So we have to configure or to adjust our writings to be better when teaching young learners. Okay, the configurations using lowercase is better than uppercase. The next one is the development of reading skill. This is the process of the development of reading skill. First one is phonics-based instructions, whether we are aware or not. First of all, we are taught by phonics-based instruction. Because we are learning English language, then the phonics here are English phonic or English phonemes. The easy example of phonics-based instruction is actually defined as teaching English phonetic alphabet. Okay, teaching English phonic or alphabetical order. Because in English the letters is different from the sound sometimes. Okay, in phonic-based instructions, the goals here is to decode every single letters that wrap up the words. Okay, we do not focus on the meaning, we only focus on how to read or how to sound out the letter. Bagaimana cara membaca suatu huruf atau suatu bacaan ketika digabungkan. This is phonics based instruction, especially in English language. Okay, and the next one is literature based instruction. We have to underline wait a minute, we have to underline or highlight the word literature. Literature-based instruction means it is not about teaching how to read. This is teaching how to understand the literature or the text or the context of reading. In this case, we develop the literacy skill. Literacy, literacy, the ability to read and also to write. So after we know how to decode the words, how to sound out, how to say the words, then we go on to how to understand the words from the context, like when it combines with the other words or the other sentences. Okay, we get the meaning, we get the message from what we read, we get the information as well. This is literature-based instruction to develop the literacy. Remember, literacy. Do not omit li. Nanti jadi terasi. Do you know terasi? Not terasi, but literacy. Okay? Good. We go on to the classroom activities. The common classroom activities of teaching reading to young learners are the first one is phonics. Okay, Lester. Phonics. Phonics relates to the phonics-based instructions. In teaching phonic coding means that we teach like the repetitions of the combination of the letters that are having similarity. For example, we have day, play, way, stay, and clay. The other ending letters are A and Y. And the first letter can be different according to alphabetical order is also possible. Day, play, blah blah blah. Or you may also find like cat, bat, hat, blah blah blah. This is actually the what is it? The initial letter is different, but the other letters are the same. We can combine it to teach. It will be easy for the students to digest, okay, in phonics. But again, it relates to how to decode the words, how to say the word, how to read the words, not how to understand the message or the meaning first. Because it is only focusing on the way to read or the way to sound out the letters, okay? And the next one is the names. Teaching names or teaching reading to young learners also possible to use names. What do you mean by names? Names here can be in the form of scrambled letters. Have you ever done that? We found some what is it? The letters or the scrambled random letters. Then they have to arrange it in such way to make the name of their friends in the classroom. It's also a very fun activity. They have to remember the names, they have to arrange the letters to make up the names of the persons or the students in the classroom. Sometimes it can also be in the competition. The next one is the sight words. Sight words means the high frequency words appearing in English language. And also we do not need to decode, or the students do not need to decode the words, because the letters and also the words are sounds the same as what is written. For example, we have the word the or the. This is the same. The, and, to, is, of, in, you here are the same. The what is it? The spelling and also the sound out is the same. Jadi cara baca dan cara nulisnya itu sama. Jadinya itu namanya sight words, high frequency vocabulary. We do not need to, because here the pronunciations or the sound out is the same as what is written. We call it sight out. Sight words that usually appear in young learners. Okay, there are also many sight words, not only this one. The next one is also predictable storybook. We can also teach this for phonic-based instruction as well. For example, Mrs. Wishy-washy. We can also point out the students that, oh, can you find W, for example? This is W. Where's the other one? W here. How to say this one? Wah, wah, for example. What's followed by W? Oh, I and A. How to say this? Wish and wash. Now, this is also what is it? Good activity to treat or to train them how to differentiate the phonics difference between the other words. We can use predictable story. The other one's also possible, but this is the common one. And the next one is the classroom techniques. The techniques of teaching reading to young learners, sometimes we can also use the learning centers. Learning centers means that we are putting the students directly in the situation or the current situation here, the real situation. Like the example here, they are acting like selling pizza and also the customer of pizza. Then we can introduce them the vocabulary related to buying and also selling and also pizza, something like that. And they directly practice. It's like student-centered learning. They can practice in the context of situation. Sometimes also relates to role play. Next one is the language experience. Language experience also good in technique of teaching reading. It means that language experience approach relates to their experience in learning the foreign language, in learning English. For example, when we have, what is this? This is my room, this is my chair, this is my bed, for example. We can highlight this one. This is my room, this is my chair, for example. This is the experience they get in their environment. We can also make their experience in the learning that it can make a meaningful principles. When they can learn, then directly they can apply it in the daily routines or in the environment, the experience of the students. The next one is questioning techniques, also important for the teachers to conduct, because in this case sometimes the students are also quite passive in like learning foreign language. This is the teacher's roles to question them, but remember the questions must be like encourage them to speak. Do not threaten the students. Okay, like the good questions encourage without avoiding the pleasure. Still, we encourage them to read for pleasure by asking them like good question or questioning technique. Do not threaten them. Like, you don't understand. Okay, you don't know. This is threatening statement or threatening questions. Just encourage them. What do you see from the picture? What are they, for example? This is the good questioning technique by also providing good face expressions. The next one is also the comprehensions questions here. Comprehensions relates to the ability of the teachers to organize or to make the students understand what they are reading. So it is not only focusing on the way to say something, but also way to understand something. The common graphic organizers like we have mind maps, for example, do you know mind maps like storybooks, mind maps, and this is also the examples of graphic organizers. Sometimes the students lost focus when they are reading. Then they have to have guideline to what they read. For example, we have the formula of K, W, and L. K stands for what I know. They have to write down here what they know. And they have to write down also what I wonder. What I wonder means what I want to know. Okay, what I want to know by reading. It can be before or while reading. The last one is what I learn or what I have learned. Okay, this is the guideline of reading for comprehensions. Okay, the goals of reading for comprehensions. Then these graphic organizers in such example can derive them to be good readers because they have purpose of readings and also reading for pleasures. Sometimes what I know, what I wonder, what I learn, or we can also use mind maps. The other graphics belongs to graphic organizer, and this is also good for young learners because they can be directed when they are reading. Okay, everyone, that's all of the summary and also the explanations, little bit additions from your friends' presentations. For the question and answer sessions, please write down here in the commenters. Don't forget to share, like, and also subscribe my channel. I'm sorry this is my first presentations in like online presentations. I'm so sorry for making an inconvenience or mistakes. Thank you very much for watching this video fully. See you in the next occasions. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home. Okay? Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.